Yo, what's up? MKBHD here. Welcome back to Dope Tech in Techtember, the busiest, most wonderful time of the year. But I've got three really cool things to show you. So first up is this laptop here. This is the Dell Xps 13 Plus. It's probably the hottest laptop design I have ever seen. And then when you actually get to using the laptop, you pretty quickly realize it's a little bit more difficult to use, specifically because of the sick design. It's like probably the purest example of form over function I've ever seen. Let me explain. So just look at this thing. Look at this thing. Most laptops look really similar to each other, but when I picture like a modern, even slightly futuristic laptop, this is what comes to mind. It's this all white, clean, thin, folding piece of metal with edge to edge everything, basically. The keyboard goes to edge, but is also particularly flat without being terrible to type on, which looks really good. And it matches up with this 13-inch 4K OLED touchscreen, also going corner to corner. And this is not the only laptop to have a basically full screen display corner to corner, but the fact that it does it all while keeping the webcam up at the top and not having a notch is welcomed. And then down below the keyboard, you have this trackpad, but it's an invisible trackpad. You might have been looking at this laptop wondering, like, why does it look so clean? This is definitely why. It's still a normal sized, normal shaped trackpad under here, but it's an area underneath this single piece of glass that doesn't move at all. It just vibrates with the haptics to simulate the feel of a click, and it's quite good at it. And then all of that put together in this clean metal body with metallic chamfered edges, the 1/2-inch total thickness, it's under 3 pounds, makes it a pretty sweet aesthetic for an everyday laptop. However, y'all know what form over function means. So as hot as this laptop is, there are some pretty clear trade-offs that make it obvious why others aren't running to copy everything that they did here. So like the trackpad, for example, is super good looking, but as you can imagine, when your finger leaves the sensitive surface area, the mouse just stops working. You just kind of have to get used to knowing where it ends. So there's a reason why other laptop manufacturers, even though they also use one-piece trackpads that don't move, they will clearly define the trackpad area visually. And then the keyboard. It's a quirky one. You know, you've got the power button cutting into the backspace button a little bit up on the right side here. There's the shorter up and down arrow keys. I guess for the most part, even though it's flat and the keys aren't particularly clicky, this is a reasonable keyboard until you get to the touch bar right above it. So we've seen touch bars before, and there's a reason why we've kind of just started moving back away from them. This one is definitely not any better than the rest. It's a soft escape key and then F1 through F12, and then they can turn it into media controls and quick controls as you move around between apps. But this is an even worse version of a touch bar because it's not a screen, so you don't really have visual confirmation of your touch targets, and they're smaller than normal touch targets, and there's no haptic feedback. It's just not fun to use. And then also, you know, yes, this is a beautiful, thin, crafted piece of metal, which is awesome to see in an everyday laptop, but you might have noticed there's only 2 USB-C ports and no headphone jack on this entire laptop, which is not nice to see on an everyday laptop. Actually, here's the perfect example of form over function with this laptop. It's super clean and nice looking, right? There's no like indent for your thumb where you'd normally be able to open the laptop, because I guess they wanted it to look super nice and sharp at the bottom, which it does, but now this is not as easy to, form over function. Either way, I still consider this dope tech just because it is still a pretty respectable laptop inside, decent specs and everything. There's also a high refresh rate display option. I'll link to a full Dave 2D review where he goes over a lot more of this stuff in depth, benchmarks, etc. But for now, I guess I just leave this with a better understanding of why more laptops don't look just like this one. All right, so the next piece of dope tech is something we've had for a little while now. It's actually a piece of gear that we've been using behind the scenes on a couple of these more recent videos. And it's also from the sponsor of this video. It's from EcoFlow. So you might have been watching the Ioniq 5 review and been thinking, wow, this is the best Ioniq 5 review ever made. How did they shoot that? So long story, a lot of fun gear, a lot of practice goes into stuff like that, but one of the most underrated parts behind the whole thing was a mobile power station powering it all. So that was EcoFlow's Delta Pro, which is an absolute tank. This thing was powering the camera, the audio device, the light we used, just everything we used, with way more than enough extra to charge up anyone's laptops or smartphones or any other gadgets. And yes, before we start typing, some of you are eagle-eyed enough to realize that the Rivian we're shooting with also has some power ports, but then how are we supposed to get this shot with the Rivian in the background hundreds of feet away? That would be the Delta Pro. Now, as you've also probably been able to guess by the fact that I'm outside again, yes, this whole video shoot is powered by a Delta Pro, but they also have a smaller, slightly more affordable, more portable version. This is called the Delta 2. It's still ridiculously capable. This here is a 1 kilowatt hour battery, but it's got an expansion port here because you can connect it to more and daisy chain them together and have up to 3 kilowatt hours just of these. And just one of these can power up to 15 devices simultaneously. You can see these 6 AC outlets on the back. Just these by themselves can do 1800 watts of steady output. And then around the front, there's some USB-A and some USB-C ports that'll do 100 watts. And then there's a screen that breaks down how much power you're outputting and how much time it'll last. But even better than this screen, they also have a smartphone app that connects via Bluetooth that just breaks down exactly how much power each port is drawing, the temperatures, the time remaining, and even this real-time graph, which is sick. When we finally do run through this whole thing, it can fast charge up back from 0 to 80% in like 50 minutes, and I think you can go to 100% in under an hour and a half. But it's good for 3,000 charge cycles like that, which is like a decade if you used it a whole thing every single day. It's great. These are the same types of batteries that are in Tesla's vehicles. Very durable. There's also a 5-year warranty that covers everything. It's one of those pieces of gear that you don't realize how important it is to you until it's pointed out to you, like a favorite lens or something. So the bigger Delta Pro power station, this guy is 3.6 kilowatt hours and can sustain 3,600 watts of AC output, which is crazy. And that one can even be linked up to your home as a battery backup, and it can be charged up via solar panels or even at a level 2 electric car charging station with included accessories. It can also be charged up via multiple sources at once. It's incredible. This thing is a real beast. But here's the kicker, and this is a question I get like all the time about electric cars. So when you drive a gas car and you run out of gas, you can always have someone go find the nearest gas station, but grab a bunch of gasoline in like a pitcher or a can, bring it to you, and fill it up. What happens if you run out of electricity in a battery-powered car? Well, now the answer is you get a battery, and someone can bring you an actual battery, one of these EcoFlow Pros even, and it'll just plug right in and actually charge up the car straight from the outlet on the side. And it is super impressive. It's not gonna be the fastest charge in the world, but you can see it's drawing nearly 1,000 watts. You can add 1 or 2 miles real quick just to get to the nearest fast charger, and that is incredibly useful. It's the kind of thing where I feel like every roadside assistance vehicle should just have one of these now because of how popular electric cars are getting, and that would help a lot of people out. So yeah, anyway, if you want to get one of these, it's great for our portable studio use, but it's great for peace of mind too. If you want to grab the 2 or the Pro, you can use the promo code I have down below, which is MKBHDEF8. That'll get you 8% off your order, so you're welcome. All right, so a few days ago, I got an email asking if I wanted to try haptic gloves in VR. And I got a lot of weird emails, so I was very close to just skipping over this one, but something made me say yes to this one. And I'm very glad I said yes. So this is a fascinating piece of tech. And the idea is pretty simple. It's not a finished product by any means, but the concept is, what if you could feel inside of VR? Like VR, the visuals are getting so much better. It's entertaining your sense of hearing now too. It's getting more and more immersive, but here's one more of your senses to actually entertain, like feeling stuff inside of the virtual reality world. Now, the major VR headsets that are out right now don't really do this. So this is like a sort of a hack or a layer built on top of that. So for the Quest 2 that I've been using for a while, you have the gloves, and then the gloves attach to the actual controller itself. So you end up looking like you have a rig basically like this as you use it in the game, which is kind of a lot. But they've built some experiences inside of the VR world to actually take advantage of these gloves, and they're pretty impressive.
Before we can start assembling the robot, we need to clean up the place. Place the drink cans inside the trash bin.
You can like kind of hear the haptic engine or motor working, but I'm picking up a can, I can feel that, throwing it out. You can see like one finger at a time move exactly the way you tell it to. Put my thumb in, close it, open it. It's pretty sick.
Pick up the left wheel and snap it to the robot.
Unfortunately, there's no weight of anything. Like when something is heavy, like this should be a really heavy object, I don't know how they would add weight to it, but that would be kind of cool. Alright, this is the part where you get to feel the trigger of the drill. Pick up the drill and just...
of the arms and the wheels of the robot with the drill.
This is a complete experience. I feel the drill vibrating when I squeeze the trigger, and it's only my pointer finger that feels resistance when I squeeze the trigger of the drill. That is good. So there are wires down each of the fingers, as you can see, and they're connected to motors in the knuckles that can give you up to 20 newtons of resistance per finger. Then there's vibration motors in the thumb and the tips of all the fingers and in the palm. So the idea is anytime you grab something or touch something or hit or squeeze something or let go of something, all of that is slightly more feelable. You can feel all of that when wearing the gloves instead of holding a controller. You know, really the most interesting thing to me is that all of this is on the outside of the finger, so it can only do a certain type of force. Like squeezing you can really feel, but you don't actually feel the object in your hands. It would be cool if this was developed more, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think you're going to start to see the other VR headset makers actually work on this problem because they also are thinking about immersion. And then I think the future of this is endless. Like I imagine a lot of sports games, like driving games, feeling the resistance of the wheel while you're in VR, or even something like, I don't know, you're holding a tennis racket or ping pong. Imagine ping pong while feeling the spin you can put on the ball. It's crazy. That's going to be super advanced. Anyway, as of right now, the company that's making these Sense gloves is selling them in super limited quantities to enterprise companies for 4,500 euros a pop. So companies like Volkswagen and the European Space Agency have sets of these for procedural training, which is still pretty cool. But again, I'm really glad I said yes to this experience because this is dope tech. This is the bleeding edge of stuff that makes sense mentally now, but is going to be really cool sometime in the future, and I can't wait for that. Either way, that's been it. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.